Oh, maybe. I'm obsessed with Torrin Wells. I don't know if you guys have listened to like a lot of his music, but I'm obsessed with him. Okay, you play with those and probably go find daddy. Um, okay, fine. You guys, listen. Huntley has not slept. Wait, can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay. Um, literally was up until 2 a.m. last night, wouldn't sleep. Like, no matter if I laid with her, no matter if I left, nothing, like, straight up would not sleep. So I was literally struggling. I was praying through it. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, through so upset. I was just, she's got to, can't do this. Got to figure it out. Like, this is not working for me. So anyways, I'm exhausted this morning. Clearly she is too. But there's just one little trial again that we're going through on not getting any sleep. And I think the hardest part for me right now is that we did the Jackie Deering Zoom last night, which was incredible. And I was so fired up, and I had a couple things I wanted to do with my chart, and I had a couple things I like needed to get done. And when I walked out, she was awake. Like she had been put to bed, and then she was awake just chilling. And I'm like, this girl, like, she's got to go to sleep. And then we spent until 2 a.m. trying to get you to bed, huh? Anyways, okay, so I'm so sorry that I missed yesterday. I had the worst migraine. That's also what happens if I don't get sleep. But I was talking to you guys a couple of days ago about your ideal self and how like this girl that I'm reading in this book, she like meets with her ideal self every week, right? Well, I hadn't read the whole chapter, and I was like, I got to share with you guys the rest of that because I didn't want you guys to feel like, well, I don't know, but I just reading it, she's talking about how she was talking with her mom about her ideal self. And her mom was like, so you know that's not who you are though, right? Like if you guys weren't on the other morning, what I was talking about is that she meets with her ideal self every week, and it's like when she's taking her kids to school that morning, she's like extra patient because she's being who she wants to be, right? So she's like careful about this. She can't meet with her ideal self if she doesn't look professional that day, and if she is impatient with her kids, then that's not who she wants to be, right? And then she goes to this beach every Monday morning. She goes to this beach and she prays, and she just like talks to God like she's already her ideal self, the things that she's doing, the things that she wants to do, all of these things. And so I thought that was incredible, and it's something that I do seriously want to implement as soon as we get on some sort of schedule, being able to implement. Okay, bye baby, go with daddy. Something that I wanted to implement is just like meeting with my ideal self. I thought that was so cool. But at the end of the chapter, she was talking about how she told her mom about this. Okay, go get daddy. Go get it. Can you just put her? Okay, so sorry guys. Her mom's like, that's not your ideal self though. Like that's not you. Like that's not who you are. Like your ideal self like may include all of those things, but it also includes you in the midst of crazy life with your toddlers and your kids, and it also includes you being a mom who's tired, and who also, you know, like just all these things that like all of her flaws kind of thing, right? And then her mom also saw her, you know, she's like, it also includes you as a 4-year-old who does things like this. I'm terrible at remembering, but like, you know, she like said some things that she did at 4 years old that like made her who she is. And so I love that because I was like, it's so true. Like we can't always be our ideal self, right? That's just not how it works. But at the same time, we have to remember that our ideal self isn't this perfect image of us. It's also the hard things. and it's also the no sleep mama, and it's also, somebody who doesn't cook, and somebody who, whatever, like that's my ideal self. Like I'm not like, I don't cook, you guys, but like my ideal self does. Like I would like to think that I would someday be able to cook, but that's just not my thing, right? And so that's okay. And so I love that. I'm going to read a part from this book. This is called You're the Girl for the Job. So if you've already read this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Here's a crazy quick recap of Exodus 3 and 4. The extreme Cliff Notes version. Moses has run from his problems in the biggest way. He's tending flocks in the wilderness, seemingly trying to squash the memory of his people's burdens. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord calls to him, and God speaks to him through flames of fire inside a bush. Moses' interest is piqued, and he moves closer to see what's up. I love the way she goes over this story. Here's what I catch. God is constantly telling Moses what he is going to do and who he is. And Moses is constantly questioning how Moses will do it and who God has made Moses to be. If the questions we're left with after hearing that we're the girls for the job, that we're the rescue plan, have anything to do with why us or how we'll do it, the story of Moses tells us right off the bat that we're asking the wrong questions. The answer to why me is this: God is who he says he is. The answer to how could you use me is this: he'll be the one doing the heavy lifting. I'm going to read those two questions again. Think of Moses as yourself. When God is calling you to do something or pulling you to do something, and you think to yourself, why me? Why me, God? Why are you choosing me to do this? The answer to why me is this: God is who he says he is. The answer to how could you use me is this: he'll be the one doing the heavy lifting. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I got from this, is that, he's the one doing all of the heavy lifting for you. You just have to follow what he's asking. You just have to follow in his footsteps, and he's going to do the heavy lifting. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm going to read the rest of this. I can unequivocally declare that you're the girl for the job without knowing you or your circumstances, because I know God, because I know he's all powerful, all knowing, always loving. I know he wouldn't leave you behind or fail to give you what you need, because he's the author and the finisher of our faith and the writer of every human story. I know he's working it all out for us to experience as much of him as we can, for us to see his glory, because he's good and because he's a restorer. I know that no harm that has come your way and no bad decision you've made has the power to define you. I know that you're the right girl for the job because he's God, and he's placed you where you're at on purpose to bring him glory and change the world. The thing is, I don't want you to miss it. I don't want us to miss it. God is not going to stop showing up or walking away from us. God is not going to stop showing up or walk away from us. He's not going to give up on his master plan to use human beings to bring him glory, no matter how messed up we are. I know he is not surprised by your unique set of challenges, the things that keep you from living the abundant life he crafted for you. But I do believe we have the opportunity to stay behind. In his graciousness, he's given us the capacity to choose how we respond to him. And if we're not giving God our 100% yes, we may miss how he has ordained our particular role in the rescue. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I think for me, I'm always the person who questions that. Why me, God? Why? But it's not even like questioning him on, he's giving me a task and I'm questioning him. It's more of like, okay, I'm going through this season and I don't understand why I'm going through it. And it might not even be a bad thing, right? It might not even be a bad season. It's just something that I'm going through and I don't understand because I can't see what's in front of me. And that's debilitating to me. And that is also called not having faith, right? And so I'm human. It's something that I've struggled with my entire life. I always want to see what's ahead. And I don't think I've gotten to share with you guys what our sign was. But me and Brian got our sign that we are supposed to be moving to Florida. I'll read it to you guys. So, and you guys might think we're reading into this. However, like with talking with lots of people and hearing the other signs and things. So, we just know that this is what God's calling us to do. So, not only did I get it in that same book that I'm reading, and I'll read what it is in just a second, but, on my Instagram. What's crazy is usually, and you can look at Brian's or you can look at your own on Instagram, you have like a hashtag that you'll like be scrolling through your Instagram and like a random hashtag will show up and like show you maybe something that you've liked in the past or whatever, right? Well, Brian's hashtags are like, there's like a bunch of different razor ones, like ATV ones, a bunch of different dirt bike ones. Like he literally has a ton of different hashtags, and I'm willing to bet that you do too. And mine, for months and months and months, like this is no coincidence whatsoever. For months, I have only had one hashtag that pops up on my Instagram, and it's Florida lifestyle. Okay, so literally hashtag Florida lifestyle shows up on my Instagram every single day, multiple times a day. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was annoying when we were living in Florida, or when we were like when we were back in the trailer. I'm just like, what in the world, did I like a Florida picture and now all of a sudden all it shows me is Florida stuff? Like, what is happening? This is like signs that, I mean, not like I'm going to get on Instagram and be like, oh, there's a Florida lifestyle hashtag, so God wants me to move there. Like, of course that was way over my head. That's not happening. But when I asked for this sign, and I asked for him to be very specific on where we were supposed to live, I started seeing that again, and I started seeing it in a different light. So that was one. And then in this book, it says, here's where I got it. It says, my first child was born into a community where we were literally the only people our age having children, but we made a move across the country just before our second was born. Then we had our third baby just a year after the second. So we were 24 and 25 with 3 children under 3. This literally made me think of Shelby. 3 children under 3, who's in Florida. Okay. Living literally as far as we could. In parentheses, it says, while staying in America from our families. Okay, living literally as far as we could be while staying in America from our families. And I knew right then that that was the biggest thing holding us back from moving, was our families. And so that was our sign of, it is okay, we are moving to Florida. We went and looked at U-Hauls yesterday trying to figure out which one's going to be the biggest. So like, what's crazy is we don't mess around. Like when we hear that that is what we were supposed to be doing, there are so many other things that have been lining up. And we've experienced this before with God, where we thought that his plan was something, and we've gone through with like making the plans, and they've all failed, right? Like the trailer, the first time that we got, like when we went in to buy it, like it was all chaos and we shouldn't have bought it, and we did. And then we ended up being able to sell it and all these things. Like when we were going to travel the first time, the entire path that we were going to take was frozen. Like, I'm not kidding. Literally, we're like, okay, we're taking off like on this date. And it was like straight up all the way down through Texas. When does Texas freeze? Like, what is this about? And it was literally like everything was frozen. And so we knew that that was not our plan, that we had read that plan wrong, right? Well, this one, everything has been set in motion. Everything has been set in place. And we have a good feeling about this. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it worked. It did work. It took 48 hours. And I got our answer. And if you haven't read that book, E Squared, you guys got to read it, and you got to ask a question, something that's been on your heart. You've got to ask it, and you've got to give it up to God. And then one thing too, Brian was like, well, he hasn't answered me. And I was like, did you ask him? Like, did you just rely on me asking him, or like, did you ask him yourself what you wanted out of this? And he was like, well, no, I just like said it in my head. I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. Okay. So pray to him, ask him out loud, be specific. And then for the next 48 hours, you best not think of anything else. You guys, I told you what I was doing. Like, we were coming home from church and I was like looking at every single sign, like it was going to be some literal sign from God. Okay. Like, you have to be conscious. You have to be looking, or it's not going to work. You can't miss the bus that's right in front of you, right? You have to be looking for these signs when you ask him. Oh, and Annie, she's on here too. And another thing that happened was she had a dream of us being in Florida. So that was like a whole nother thing. And Annie's like so good with dreams too. So anyways, like everything is just adding up to that. And I wanted to share that. So back to the why me part of God. I think that we like to question a lot of things. And I think that we're human when it comes to everything based on, we want to give God more faith, but then we go ahead and turn our heads and do what makes us feel more comfortable. And that's been something that I've been so open and honest with you guys about struggling. I was talking to somebody yesterday about our prelims were posted, and we were talking about how, hopefully she doesn't mind if I share this story. I'm not sure if she's on, but I won't give any names. We were talking about how she hasn't promoted in over a year, and how her husband may be feeling like he was losing faith in the business, not in her, but in the business. And so I have had so many things that have happened in this business and through other people having them happen and all these things that I was able to help her. And it was like this divine intervention. Like she didn't come to me asking for help. It was like we were talking about something, and then I asked her something, and then we were able to connect on a different level. And it is so crazy to me. So in general, we're talking about paychecks, and I'm going to use random numbers just so you guys know. So I'm going to pretend like she was thinking to herself, I can't go below 5,000. Okay. So I can't go below $5,000 a month. And I was like, but when you're saying that, when you're doing that, because I've done this myself with a different number, like I've done this myself, when you do that, you're actually willing it into existence to go below $5,000. Did you guys know that? If you're constantly saying, I won't go below this $5,000, I can't, like, I can't do that, I can't do it, instead of saying something like, I am going to make over $10,000 this month, and I am not ever going to go below 10,000 because I need to have over $10,000 this month. And you're talking about that in a way of, you're willing that into existence, then your paycheck's going to stay over $10,000 a month. But if you decide that there's a low to it, and you decide that we're going to be okay if it doesn't go below this, then what you're going to find is that it's going to stay there or go below that. And I think it was this huge like aha moment for both of us, because Brian and I have done that before. Actually, no, excuse me. Brian does not do that. I do. Brian is always like, nope, that's not good enough. That's not, like, I know what you can do, so this is not good enough. Like you have so much more potential. And I'm like, but it's fine, because we can still pay our bills. We can still give back. We can still put over 5,000 in savings. Like this, like to me, it's like, what, like, it's fine. Like it's totally fine. And it's not that I don't believe that I'm worthy of more. It's not that I don't believe that our team is worthy of more. It's just, that's how I've always been. Like, we're good. Like we're good. And because of that, guess what happens to my paycheck, you guys? It's always good, right? It always stays like good. It's always at the point where, we can pay all of our bills, we can give some back, and we can put a lot of money in savings, right? But I'm willing that. I'm doing that because it might be good, but it could be great. It could be double or triple what it is right now, because I've seen it at that point. You know what I'm saying? Yet I'm sitting here willing that into existence. So this could be with anything. This doesn't have to be with money. This could be with rank. Maybe you're saying, like, as long as I don't lose Ruby, I'll be okay. Okay, well then you're going to lose Ruby because that's what you're willing into existence. So make sure that you're giving yourself these affirmations, and you're constantly thinking about where you want to be and the amount of money that you want to be making, instead of making these, what's it called? Like, instead of making these stipulations on what you don't want to lose, because that's what you're going to bring into life. Okay. All right. Let me read this. What day is it? The 8th. Okay. This one's called Respect Your Dream. Annie, this just made me think of you. Respect your dream. Far away, there is the sunshine, or there in the sunshine are my highest aspirations. I may not reach them, but I can look up and see their beauty, believe in them, and try to follow where they lead. Louisa May, from the Scrapbook of Elbert Hubbard, 1915. What is it that you most love about what you do or aspire to do? Who else finds peace, joy, and happiness when you do it? Respecting this notion is how you unearth the joy that will always be with you. Live in constant appreciation of your highest aspirations, and you will attract what you need. This is weird. It's so weird. It always goes exactly what I'm talking about. It's the weirdest thing. Challenge question. What element of what you do brings you the greatest joy? That's another thing I'm going to talk about real quick. There are some leaders that refuse to do anything, like literally anything that bring them joy. And that's like cool. That's really cool. That's their prerogative. But I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, well, dang, like there are things in our business, like in my 6 list that I do every day that don't bring me joy, but I know that they bring me profit. And I know that they bring me people to change their life, right? And changing their life brings me joy. But the initial reach out, the initial messaging, the initial going back and forth in those with those rejections or whatever I'm trying to say, objections, that doesn't bring me joy, right? But I still do it. I still do it because the end result brings me joy. And so I was thinking about this the other day because I've had a couple of you come to me and say, well, you know, one thing that I'll be honest about is pop-ups. They don't bring me joy. Pop-ups do not bring me joy. In fact, they debilitate me and make me want to throw up and puke because I just am not somebody who likes to do things in person. However, you bet your butt I will do them. The second that we are somehow a little bit more stable, right? I couldn't bring all my pop-up stuff this time. I tried to do a pop-up with one of my teammates, but it didn't work out, and that's okay. But my point of this is that it's something that doesn't bring me joy, but once I do it and get out of my comfort zone and see the results from it, it will bring me joy. So if you are somebody who is sitting here thinking to yourself, well, I could do that and maybe that would like help my business grow, but it doesn't bring me joy, I challenge you to do it anyway. Because even though we say like in this business, we're allowed to do the things that, you know, only bring us joy, at the same time, in order to be great at this business and in order to actually use your potential in this business, you also have to get uncomfortable. And I don't know about you guys, but like that's all we ever talk about. And like Pam just made a post the other day. She was like, I hope you're uncomfortable today, because that's what it takes to grow. So I'm going to be honest, like if like being uncomfortable doesn't bring me joy, yet I continue to make myself uncomfortable. So I don't want us to get caught up in this like, well, that doesn't bring me joy, so I'm not going to do it. You're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself and you're not getting uncomfortable. Don't be afraid. And now I'm not saying do a pop-up every other day if it doesn't bring you joy. I'm just saying try it. Try it. Do something that's out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to do the things that you want to do, because I see some faces like, oh, not my thing. I know, I get it. You guys, I get it. Trust me. But do it with somebody. You don't have to do it by yourself. Do it with somebody. That's going to bring you way more joy than it would if you're doing it all by yourself, right? Like you can do it in a way that it would be fun and not like terrifying. But you got to take the step and you got to do it. And I think that's the thing with anything. It doesn't have to be a pop-up. It can be sending out those messages. Maybe you're having a hard time lately sending out messages because you're feeling like they're not working for you. But that is the number one way that it works. Or maybe you don't like host to post. Well, nobody likes host to post, you guys, but they work. They work. And so we can't do things out of pure la la land joy all the time, because that's just not how life works. It's not how life works in a regular job, and it's not how life works in our job. Now, we do get the opportunity, thank God, in this job to do more of the things that bring us joy. More of the things that bring us joy on a daily basis, you know? And so I don't know. I don't know why that was on my heart, but I just like had to share that for a second, because I've heard a lot of people lately come to me and say, well, this doesn't bring me joy. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, staying up till 2 a.m. brings me absolutely no joy whatsoever. Ashley likes host to post because they work, because they're amazing. The initial messages to get them up, man, for me, that is just not my thing. But I do it and it works. Okay. So, well, this one might be for me and me only, you guys, since I'm talking about staying awake until 2 a.m. with Huntley, but it's called Gentle Parenting. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Ephesians 6:4. Being a parent is hard. There's no way around it. We pour our lives into our children, who are truly individuals with their own personalities, gifts, and talents. And those people, our children, make their own choices. Sometimes those choices don't line up with what we've taught them or what we want for them. But God wants us to treat them with respect, the same respect with which we treat a stranger. When our children push us to the boiling point, we're not supposed to retaliate in anger. When we speak harshly and explode, we teach them to treat us the same way, and it becomes an endless cycle. When we use self-control and discipline with love, kindness, and respect, those lessons may not sink in immediately, but we may have patience and persevere, knowing that God will honor our efforts to act in love and gentleness, even when we don't feel like it. Dear Father, help me to not provoke my children to anger. Amen. Yeah, that is like a great one for me. Seriously, you guys, I have felt God speaking to me every single day of this new year. And I'm so grateful for that, because it's literally everything and more that I have asked for. I have asked him to guide me. I have asked him to help me through hard times. I have asked him to, help me be patient, help me see a different light of things when I get frustrated or exhausted, or when I don't feel like doing things. I ask him and he always shows up. Last night, Huntley literally, like, I can't make this up, you guys. Like, we lay down and she's asleep with her mouth open. Okay. Literally asleep with her mouth open. And then straight up sits up and starts giggling and laughing. Like this, like, she does not sleep. Like, it's hilarious. Like, it's like, Mom, you're funny that you thought that I was sleeping, but I was faking it or something. Like, I don't even know what it is, but I cannot tell you. This happened legit over 8 to 10 times last night, where she would like lay down and do that. And then just like, and she like pokes at me and like, she laughs and she thinks it's hilarious. And I'm just laying there like, kid, this is not working out for me. And there was a point where I just wanted to say, Huntley, like, just scream at her. Like, you have to go to sleep. You have to go to sleep. Of course, there was a point where I got stern, but there was a point where, I was mad. I was just like, it is freaking 2 a.m. I have to get up. Like, you have to go to bed. Like, I was so angry. And I literally felt so calm for 1 second, and was just like, nope. She hears me talking about her. She doesn't appreciate it. But where I felt so calm, like all over my body, and I just picked her up again and I laid down with her and I was like, we have to go to sleep, sweetheart. And and then I immediately was like, thank you so much for the patience. Thank you for like the wake up call. Thank you for like intervening and all of that, because I think as parents, you guys, it's like this devotional said, it is not easy. And there's no like book about, well, there's a lot of books about parenting, but there's no right book to know exactly what you're supposed to do in exactly what situations, especially with girls like Huntley, who are just kind of their own breed. But it's funny because it just shows me that what I asked for is actually happening. And I hope that I never lose that. And I hope that I never take that for granted. When I feel that overwhelming sense of calming and I feel like he's guiding me and showing me like, okay, you're starting to get frustrated, like, bring it down. It's just as if Brian would do it for me too, right? But I seriously feel like God has just been talking to me lately, or guiding me in what I'm doing. And the only thing that's different about that, if you're sitting there asking like, well, why isn't God talking to me? Because Brian asks me that all the time. He's like, well, why isn't God talking to me? Why don't I feel him talking to me? And some of you could say like, well, no, that's just your own self-control. Like you're instead of getting mad, you're just like practicing your own self-control and having patience. Some of you could say that. And I'm going to tell you that that is not who I am. Like, I don't have patience at all. I know that about myself. And I know that I lose control at times and am not the most perfect person. So I personally know that is God telling me to calm down, or telling me to kind of take a deep breath. And I need that. And that's my point with, when I was saying, if you feel like you need that too, or if you feel like you wish that he would talk to you, you've got to be open to it. You've got to be open to receiving that. You've got to be actively talking to him all day. You've got to be actively listening. And that's something that I tell Brian all the time. Like I said, just earlier, I was like, did you ask him? Like, you're waiting for this answer because I got my answer, but you didn't even ask him. You have to ask him. You have to be open to receiving it. Okay, so make sure that if you're feeling like you wish that God would talk to you, or that God would work in your life, he already is. He's already working in your life. I can tell you that right now, but you have to be open to receiving it. You have to be open to seeing what he's doing in your life. Okay, so it's 7:30. I'm going to stop blabbering. Annie said, I love all of this. Lean into God, ask for help, and ask God for help seeing the signs. Yes. If you know that I know that God is working in your life. I know that, but we need help seeing the signs sometimes. So, ask him for the signs, and you will receive. So I love you guys so much. We'll meet back up tomorrow morning, and I will talk to you later. Bye.